allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call please. Money Carney here. Roseanne Bozak here. Nick Loving
Here.
Jennifer McCarr here. Angie Scott here. Approval of meeting minutes for May 10th, 2023.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call. Money Carney. Yes. Nick Loving.
Yes.
Angie Scott. Yes. Roseanne Bozak. Yes. Jennifer McCarr.
Yes.
Approval of executive meeting minutes for May 17th, 2023. Second, discussion. Roll call, please. Andy Carson? Yes. Nick Loving?
Yes.
Andy Scott? Roseanne Bozak? Yes. Jennifer McCarthy?
Yes. So the two public hearings that are on the agenda for tonight are going to be tabled for next month.
You can have a public, because I think Corinne, you have the ordinances, they're just not in final form to be signed.
Oh,
Correct.
Okay.
So you could still do first.
so we can, okay.
Okay. And a public one.
Okay. All right, I'd like to open public hearing for the first one.
Since ordinance 315-2023 regulates stormwater discharge, quantity, erosion, and sediment control, and stormwater quality for all development and redevelopment occurring within the town of Furnace.
Comments for? Comments against? Close public hearing. Discussion.
I mean, I'll just add for the record, this is for the MS4, it totally slipped my mind. We have become an MS4 community, and so this ordinance is required as part of the process. And so Shem and his office and Corinne have been working on getting it together. So it's mostly administrative. Yeah, and a requirement. I would make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Second. Discussion. Roll call please.
I'm sorry, was that Roseanne second?
Yes.
Tony Dean Carney?
Yes.
Nick Loving?
Yes.
Angie Scott? Yes. Roseanne Bozak?
Yes.
Jennifer McCarthy?
Yes. Okay.
And then can I just, what's the deadline to have it adopted? Do we need to do that tonight? We're okay. We're okay with one.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're way ahead of the schedule,
Okay.
I think it's October.
right?
All right, public hearing number 2 open.
Ordinance 318-2023 amending the text of the motor vehicles and traffic ordinance.
Comments in favor? For? Any comments against? Close public hearing. Discussion.
Motion to adopt.
Second. Roll call please.
Nick Loving?
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak? Yes. Angie Scott? Yes. Tony Dean Carney?
Yes.
Jennifer McCarthy?
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I could guess.
And
I'm
this
sorry.
one has fees attached, correct? So if we'll do the second reading next month, and then it has to be published because of the fees, so that would be 90 days before it's in effect. Just saying, for a matter of fact.
Thank you. All right, reports, report treasurer Jane is not here with Corinne.
Yeah.
Please. Welcome.
I do not have anything.
Okay. All right, town council.
Anybody? I have something. I was contacted by a resident from Cortland's Landing, probably a couple of weeks ago, concerned about the engine braking of semis coming off of 94 onto 20, that they can hear it. If you recall, It's been more than a year now that I worked with the state and we did get approval for the engine braking signs on 149. Because we already have a noise ordinance in place, so I have reached out to the state again to ask if that would cover that and would they approve signage to put there? So you all might have seen that I think I copied you on that. So hopefully we'll hear back, and it wasn't a difficult process to apply. They have to go out there and make sure that they agree that they would belong there. If they do, then we will ask the street department to order a couple of signs and post those.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else?
Wait,
I see the note on here about Oakley Lane. I reached out to representatives. I think we have someone here with us, and I don't know if they would have any insight on Oakley Lane has been an issue, but I've not received any response.
thank you. On engineering.
Nothing that is not on the agenda. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Chuck.
Couple of recent developments, we received some complaints about the bank on the Iroquois Trail. I followed up the complaint and found the property was in unhealthy condition with garbage. I notified the owner and we sent out a letter certified and in regular mail. Hopefully it'll take care of that problem within the next day or two.
I live on Iroquois and I'm pretty sure they dropped a dumpster on the property today.
Right. So we have some action from
So.
it. Okay. We had some storage containers on Malton Road, across from Jim's Auto. I phoned the owners of that property and informed that that's not the usage that's permitted on that property. They said they were using it for to store the tools, but they had 8 of them there. So I'm going to reduce it down to 1 storage container for 30 days during construction. Pilot notified us that they're going to be doing some construction in the back of the station. It's going to be a driver comfort area. It's going to be kind of a sizable addition they're putting on there. I'll be reviewing the prints next week and we'll keep everybody informed on that. The Hadman home seems to be improving every time I go by it. Branches are being picked up. But they haven't applied for any permit yet on work. Well, I have.
Thank you. Street department. Hi, there's 2. You guys want to chat?
Obviously Lori sends out all her reports. I think you guys have all that. I mean, anything that's not in the report, I think, the big thing that I can say as kind of being thrown into this is that both Brandon and Mike have done an excellent job under the circumstances. They're getting a ton done. I don't know if anybody pays too much attention, but the town hall looks amazing.
It really does.
It hasn't been looking this good in a very long time. So they've done a lot of work being shorthanded and they continue to get a lot done. So, I mean, there's a lot of other things that we need to address throughout this, but both Mike and Brandon have been doing a great job. Been doing more than what they've been asked and they continue to do that. So thank you. I think that should be, make sure that everybody up there knows that.
And we appreciate you stepping in and helping out as well.
Okay. Beyond that, I don't know if Tony, we had talked briefly about the parking becoming ADA compliant for the van accessible parking.
Yep.
I don't know if we want to talk about this now or what, whether or not,
That's fine, because I don't think it's on the agenda.
whether the previous motion that you made to have the park be able to do that and those monies would.
So if you guys recall earlier this year, like ADA projects that we're gonna use the 4,000 that we budgeted for, were at the park. There would be 4 painted parking spots. One of those would be an addition. But all of them need to be brought up to compliance with the ban lane. And Kim reached out to a contractor to have that done, which is what we asked her to do, and no one is able to do that. So I think that the street department is going to be able to do that. We just need to let them know that it's okay to purchase the supplies, and then when they turn that receipt in, it will be given with ADA art on it. So. Yeah, and I think we might need one sign.
Yeah, if there's
Anything-
more.
Yeah, okay. If there's anything supply wise that needs to be purchased for that, it would be designated ADA, and Jane has a spreadsheet that she keeps track of all that on. Yeah. And then I know Kim contracted or got a contract to have I keep calling it a rumble strip, but that's not what it is. Coming off of the trail into the drive. So we'll be adding that. Royco did the first one, they're gonna do this one. So that one was about 15. I'm guessing your supplies are gonna be less than 1,000.
Yeah,
I'm guessing, which means there's still 1,500 for ADA projects. So if someone in any department, comes across improvement we need to make, please bring it to the council so we can spend that money, because that's what we put it aside for.
Thank you. I'm not sure if all the council members know that's Mike Luciardo from the
Hello.
department. I know I was asked to do that. So, let's get on that, it's right.
It's nice to put faces with names, it really is.
Close.
I think that's pretty much all I got for street this time. If you get anything,
I have nothing,
okay,
just, we're still making a list on stuff that we need to purchase to help us do our jobs better that we no longer have. So. We're just working on that on a daily basis as we come across it.
Thank you.
What about the street light?
so if we're, obviously that's not an agenda that happened today, so. Harbor Way and Village Square. Reith Riley found one of our unmapped electric lines is what it's believed to be to our streetlights in the village. There's 2 spots at that intersection across from each other that both of them were hit. They were not marked, so there's no way to know where they are at because we don't know where they're at as of yet. They're both going to need to be repaired. I've reached out to Circle R. I haven't got a response yet, but that's where we're at with it. They obviously cannot replace those ramps. They can't put them in place until it's repaired. So I don't know whether or not that'll push them back, but I think that's a possibility. So.
So obviously he called Circle R today for that repair. I wouldn't even have a guesstimate.
I don't really have a guesstimate, but
I feel like if we could do a not to exceed. Or something so that if they call, they can get out there and fix it, because it does put the project behind. This Reith Riley, so I don't even know what to guess. I don't know either.
I don't want to throw it out there and be completely wrong, but I would think a not to exceed 2,500 would probably take care of that. The only issue, like I said, is when I said that they pulled slack is whether or not that caused any damage down the line that's completely unseen. And until these lights turn on, we really don't know what's going on. So it hasn't gotten dark yet.
And with that being said, today Brandon and I were over there trying to figure out which box controlled the lights and all. It was kind of hard for us to see during the day. It would really be beneficial if him and I could both go over there, like when it gets dark out, so we could start seeing which lights are controlled by which box, so we know if something were to happen, we know where to go to shut them off for that particular area.
And then like mark over something.
Yeah, that way we know which one controls which area and whatnot. So if something like this were to ever happen again, we know where to go immediately, shut the power off, so nobody's at risk of getting electrocuted or anything.
You want to do?
I'll make a motion, not to exceed $2,500 for the repair of the street lights. Yeah.
I'll second
I
that.
felt like I was gonna say more.
You're just broadcasting what you're willing to pay by doing that. That's something we have to do, but
I don't have another, I mean,
there's no other answer, is there? It's. We're just.
I mean, we don't have to, we'll just, if a bill comes in, and it's over 1,000, we'll just need to have 3 of us meet, put out a meeting, and 48-hour notice, and then meet and approve it. I mean,
We'll just it's on the back of it.
Do we have no meetings for it, or can you just, don't you just get on the deal and just sign it?
yeah, but it's gonna exceed 1,000.
I guess
and I don't want to get in trouble for authorizing any repair.
Yeah, I think the way the purchase ordinance or resolution is written is that it's with 3 signatures, but it's approved at a council meeting, so, I mean.
We can just cover it in ways that-
Whatever you think.
I mean,
What is that?
I tend to try to err on the honest, to be honest with us, and that, I mean,
The grand scheme of things is Circle R has a $40,000 generator or whatever the cost was that they're doing work with us for, and they've done work with us for a long time. I don't think they're gonna try and.
I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that, but.
Do we need to do anything to authorize those guys to come back at night, because that's gonna be.
Well, I think that's probably a separate, we vote on this, well, okay.
You said, I just. Yeah. That's great. Andy Scott. Yes. Roseanne Gotha. Yes. Jennifer McCarr. Yes. Nick Loving.
Yes,
Dane Cardy.
Yes. And then I would be fine if, I feel like it's a necessity to come back at night. It's just in the village, right? Couple hours.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah,
I
right,
mean,
yeah, at most.
So it would,
we don't need to vote on it. Just-
No.
We trust you to do what you gotta do.
Thank you.
I would just say if it would most likely be considered overtime, so I would just designate on your time card the specific time period that you
Okay.
did that and that it was lights in the village. So if there's a question, that's,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Be careful.
Oh, well, since we're still on the street, let's just back up and I'll do something. Thank you, Brandon. Did you come out, Mike, to put up barricades on Saturday morning?
No, it wasn't needed.
Yeah, so Brandon took care of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he came out in the early morning hours and put up barricades for the railroad. What
Nothing was down. What was down?
But you know. Yeah, so he came out and then thank you to the police who manned it until CSX came out and fixed it, so.
This should be done.
Yeah.
Marshall?
Biggest thing. Besides for the meeting notes, we just recently. We finally withdrew from, it's called the LESO program. It's basically, we have federal weapons in our possession for. I don't even know how long. For the last 10 years, they've basically been sitting in a cabinet here that we pay an annual fee to be able to store these weapons that aren't used. So they're finally returned and we've been withdrawn from the program, so we won't have to pay these fees continually for the end of time. That took since September 1st to get that done. So
Wow.
that in and of itself, I'm ecstatic about. The other thing, I talked to Tony after the last meeting, and I guess I wasn't really clear on, so basically I need the approval, I guess, from the town council to travel. I have a scheduled training next week in Plainfield. And I'm looking for an approval not to exceed $1,000. My hotel is like 500 and some change, and then meals. And talking to Jane, it'd probably be just easier to do that. But so that's basically what I'm looking for is an approval not to exceed $1,000 to travel in regards to an instructor development course for myself.
And what days will you be going?
I will be leaving on the 18th and I will return on the 23rd.
I'll make a motion to approve that travel for DRB. Not to exceed 1,000.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call? Nadine Cardy,
Yes.
Angie Scott. Yes. Nick Loving,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak.
Yes.
Abstain.
State Road 149 Old Porter, that crash that you just kind of talked about, we're still kind of working on things. I got to call into State Highway just because I'm unclear on the response. They said because the railroad was involved, they basically, the only thing that they were offering to do in assistance to the town was to maintain a closure notice on their website. Which I personally feel is it's very inadequate. So I guess the problem is that they were putting everything off on CSX to try and make, in, while CSX didn't do anything besides for take their gate off. After leaving our roadway closed for 36 hours, they apparently CSX is responsible to be able to figure out how to properly notify the public of any potential road closure, which obviously they did not do because there was no notifications at 6 and 149, 1050 north of 149, 20 and 149. The only barricades or any signage that was put out by our town and our street department. So I think both entities, I know Bill has reached out to the railroad. I'll let him talk on his own behalf, but wasn't a pleasant conversation from my understanding. So that's where we're at with that. It was just not great.
It was
But-
very frustrating. I spoke to CSX at one point when Jeremy finally got on the phone, and I don't know that they understood exactly where it was and the disaster that Monday morning was gonna be. Already it was, because people were crossing the road, going through the barricades. I mean, one guy almost like went in the ditch. So that was scary enough as it is, but come Monday morning, that traffic would have been insane. And the trucks didn't know to turn around, so you'd have that whole backup of trucks everywhere. So I'm glad they did something Sunday.
Right.
Because it could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah, they, he said we were one of the first ones on the scene for the crash, and I assisted the officer in trying to call and get a hold of him and express the importance of it. And also the trains, the safety of the trains as well as the traffic. So the follow-up the next day, just to cut the story short, a whole lot of going back and forth. Promised phone calls, promised supervisors, no contacts, no calls made back. As of today, I called the safety board, National Railroad Safety Board. So I'm still working on it. So the problem with that is we had a hazardous railway and roadway closure. And the best answer I got was, and I told them that I would speak on it at our council meeting. The best answer I got was, well, unfortunately, people don't want to work today and the supervisor didn't feel like coming out, so we just didn't have no way to show up. And I says, for 2 days. I says, really? I says, so anyhow, I called the safety board because from what I understand, there's some pretty hefty violations with fines that come with that. So that's what I'm, can't get the nice people, hit them in the pocketbook, you'll find them. So I'm still working on it. So
It was still scary once they took it down, because the lights were flashing and one side was up. And their response was, the trains will stop.
Yeah.
The train will stop before, and then it'll go. It was a little scary.
Yeah, they wouldn't disconnect the light. CSX wouldn't, just, I think, liability wise. Which then I raised the other question, which was, I believe that's an issue for CDL drivers to cross an activated crossing. Luckily, we didn't have any trucks calling us requesting assistance crossing the crossing. Traffic flowed as normal, and I guess it's repaired now, even though it kind of looks like it's leaning.
yeah, it's still leaning. They did repair the.
The gates are back in place and it's functioning.
And operational, yeah.
I appreciate you making all those phone calls. Taking your time to
We'll report back.
get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I think next month we'll actually have the best answer that we can be given, so. I guess the only other thing I have is I received a traffic complaint reference the area of Stinson and Cessna in phase 2 of Cortland's Landing. specifically in regards to a stop sign that was blocked by a homeowner's tree. The building department sent out a letter. They've trimmed the tree up. I mean, it's kind of the best scenario right now. We didn't have to trim it. I think the sign is pretty well visible now at this point. And then the rest of the traffic complaints, we've probably had 12 to 15 extra patrols over there trying to limit the potential violations over there, but the majority of them were because the stop sign wasn't visible. So hopefully that's no longer an issue, but Chuck's letter, I think, at least hit home and they addressed it. So appreciate that.
The homeowner said that if we have to chop the tree down, it's okay. I mean,
Well, they trimmed it up pretty well. I mean, if you drive through there now, it's clearly visible. I mean,
all right.
Yeah.
so that's all for now.
Fire chief?
Not a whole lot to report on my end, been pretty busy, several fires in town. We took care of them, luckily no injuries. And the only other thing I'm working on is, Jim kind of talked about it last month. I know we've been talking about the front pavement or the asphalt on the fire station. If you drive by, you see it's dropping down any further. I reached out to our lowest bidder to see if we could get them to work with Reeve Riley. Share Concrete, with the construction to do what they needed per our engineer's specs. They were no longer interested in providing it, due to they couldn't meet that low cost that they provided us. The other ones were more expensive, Caves Concrete and, the other one is now, I'm sorry, but anyhow, ended up being Reeve Riley with the proposal that Shim had comes out the cheaper bidder, to repair that. So I guess I could let Shim talk about that and for the change order.
Thanks, Bill. So the contract actually requested a price proposal from Reeve Riley to change order the contract price. And the price for just the outside area of the driveway itself, that's the one that the town will be responsible 100% for. It's not covered under the grant, but the approach itself, or the driveway approach, will be covered under the grant. That comes to about 26,000, not about exact number, $26,459.96. So that's the change order request that is.
Make a motion to approve the change order.
Second. Discussion. Roll call. Sorry, that's it's writing. And just to be clear, though, is that technically a change order? I mean, we have to have that built completely separate
Correct.
from community crossings.
That is correct. But it's still a change order for the contract itself.
It's
To the
correct.
town, yes.
Nick Loving,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak. Yes. Dan Curry.
Yes.
Angie Scott. Victor McCarthy.
Yes. And what's the construction date to do that asphalt?
So the.
I mean,
it's
yeah,
asphalt.
Not asphalt, but concrete.
Right, the concrete crew right now, they are doing all the ADA ramps, as you can tell, probably around the town. And I believe, we have a sign up for the tax service, and it's been sending, I think there was a tax actually sent today, so I want to make sure you receive it.
I did sign up for the text service. I don't know if I got a text. I may have missed it, but I'll double check.
Okay. So you know, so it's okay, I just want to make sure it's a service support. Because that was the first tax actually for the entire program. But the ADA ramps are going through right now, so the concrete is out in the town right now. They will pour concrete tomorrow, so they might be out probably removing the existing concrete very soon in the next couple of days or so. That's not the street yet. So I just want to make sure that the schedule will work out.
How will you manage the trucks while the cement's tore up?
We'll have to turn around backwards, so we'll go out the backside.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The only other thing that I have, oh, I guess I can wait for sanitation side.
You're.
My next time.
You guys keep switching hats.
The only other thing that I have is, we've been working on some stuff. Finally got one of our contractors licensed. It was a nightmare. But anyhow, he was having issues, but that's done. So we're working on some stuff. We're starting to have some issues. Conditions again where we have some gas damage, from H2S. It's natural. It's not nothing to be alarmed about. It's something that you deal with when you deal with sanitation, but trying to control it. So we're gonna be doing some repairs at lift station number 2. A lot of electrical work and stuff that just needs upcut and changed out. I'll be reporting that to the sanitary board. And then the other thing that I have is we had everything located back here. My misunderstanding, locate service, I thought that our engineers were doing that part, but I guess I was supposed to do it after the drawings were there. Anyhow, I just want to report that the utilities back here are now online. So whenever something happens, we'll get the locate for our private stuff back here, as well as the sanitary. So that is now on, it's on the map. Yeah, through 811. So there was a little bit, if you guys saw some chatter on that, but that's now taken care of. So but that was 100% my misunderstanding. So we marked it the next day. But we do need to reach out and get some flags. So you'll see a purchase order probably come through probably whoever, council, I'll give it to you, but I think that we need to look, right now we have white, if you look back there, and we just wrote the word fiber. So we actually need to get some orange because that's fallen in fiber. So we're marking it properly versus just white flag. So I'll have to get some flags ordered for that. So
Whatever keeps from somebody
there with you. Yeah.
digging back there.
We'll all put it down.
You guys want to have internet.
But it is marked back there. So anyhow,
Thank
that's
you.
all I had.
All right, Park Board Representative.
I'm sorry, there's one item for the storm, I apologize.
That's okay.
Just the application for the storm, it will be sent to the town, to the storm board, the next meeting. It will have fees on it, so it will be coming your way, the fees for the application itself. So it's for the review of the MFA that was passed. Few items back. So there's an application that will be, there will be a fee for it, for review and inspection. But the storm board did not see it yet, but it's coming up in the next meeting. So I just want to make sure it's on your radar.
A fee to pay them.
The application, the fee actually is to the town, not a fee to.
I
So
got
the
it.
town is not
Okay,
paying,
I got
it's
it.
the applicant.
I got it. Okay.
But it's gonna come back to the council because it's the. Is that correct?
Yes.
May I ask a question? Is that fee written in the stormwater management ordinance that we're working on now?
No, it's not, but it's gonna be separate,
Okay.
because it's the application, it's not a user. No.
Hi,
Hi, Renee, like, I was fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so on Saturday, the 24th, Lakeland will be holding their 80s theme, Footloose 5K run and walk at 7:30 a.m. I know Kim has been working with Jeremy for the road closures. Yes, registration is still open until Saturday, the day of the race. If you would also like to volunteer, please reach out to Kim at the park. I know I'll be there volunteering. The beach is now open every day from 10 to 6, weather permitting. The summer camp continues this week through Friday. It has been well attended. It's been awesome.
Even with the weather?
Yes, surprisingly. So we are very happy. The next summer camp is going to be July 10th through the 14th, 9 to noon, and then the art camp 12:30 to 2:30. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you. You know what, RDC?
Lots of stuff going on in the RDC. All right, so today at the RDC meeting, we signed a contract on March to move forward with that Center Westport section of the trail. The bookends, the parts that were calling the bookends of the trail are about 97% done. Matt Kaiser was at the RDC meeting from Avon Marsh, and he said that they're getting ready to go do the walkthrough soon with Freeze Riley, go to the punch list to get everything ready to go there. I did talk to the street department to get a sign put up out there. We want to keep people off the trail until the trail is open, just so we don't have anybody disturbing the construction and stuff that's happening there. Let's see, they're also, I have so many papers in front of me. They're also talks of moving forward with the Marquette Greenway Phase 1B. With Tina, our RDC consultant is going to be helping us with the grant process for Next Level Trails to work on that that section, which is the section that goes over by the NS Bridge. That'll take you into the national park. So hopefully we will begin talks and work on that soon. We're hoping to talk with the town of Porter to work together on that section, since we're both so close to that section. Other big hot topic item on RDC is we did receive an application to fill the empty RDC seat from Miss Kyla Tumlin. So I would like to make a motion from the for the council to appoint Kyla to the RDC. Second. Ooh, that was fast.
Can't let her change her mind.
Oh, is that what we're saying?
Tony Biancardi?
Yes.
Nick Loving?
Yes.
Angie Scott? Roseanne Botham?
Yes.
Jennifer McCarthy?
Yes, please.
Right.
Thank you. We'll schedule time. Awesome.
I've been reading the minutes.
Busy stuff. All right, that's all I have for RDC tonight.
All right, and then we do have somebody from our Shared Ethics Advisory Committee, Joan.
Hello.
I tell you, I'm
They gave us 4 points from the meeting, but everything else, the town. President of the CCD commission and left, and they appointed a new president. Her name.
Courtney Smith.
Yes, thank you. There it is, Courtney Smith. And the 2023 Ethics Summit will be held on Tuesday, October 24th at the Avalon Manor in Maryville. And we save the date. They are working toward getting all member municipal employees trained using their new updated ethics training video and materials. They're hoping to have all the trainers trained by the end of August and all the members and employees trained by the end of June of next year. Finally, they are working on getting the candidate ethics pledge process for the primaries. Well, I guess the primaries was May. They only had, I think, 37% of the candidates sign this. But of course, now in August here. But it's simple. It also asks candidates to commit to providing ethics training for all municipal employees to support an ethics policy with enforcement and to support whistleblower protection. A media release was sent out in the Northwest Indiana Times that was shared. The pledge is still available to sign on the NCAC's website. It's the sharedethics.com website. And we count anyone who signed during the primary election process as signing for the general election spot. And we'll be beginning with that process in August.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Correspondence.
Correspondence item, notice of approval of MSOP for new source construction in Portage. IDAB notice of approval, FESOP administrative amendment for Worthington Steel Port. IDAB notice of approval, TV renewal for Monasol LLC in Portage. IDAM notice of approval Title V for Precoat Metals in Portage. IDAM receipt of air permit application Ozinga Cement Inc. Corp. Burns Harbor. IDAM receipt of Title V renewal administrative permit approval for Inksterboard Slag Corporation in Burns Harbor. Give a thought, C, no excess assessed value in its tax allocation areas for 2023, pay 2024. And the Chesterton Porter Rotary Club for Family for Fest donation request. And I make a motion that we donate exactly what we donated last year, $300.
Second. Do you know, Jeremy or Bill, have they reached out to you guys for any help with the fest in terms of
Not yet.
safety? Okay, did you guys help last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call please.
Angie Scott,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak, yes. Carr,
Yes.
Tony Bean Cardy,
Yes.
Nick Loving.
Yes.
I think we engineered those. Yeah.
All right, new business, staff anniversary recognition, we have Bill, Arnie, 15 years, thank you so much. Just, and then we have Clay for 8. Thanks, Clay. All right, so then,
How about me?
your anniversary.
It starts over, because we always have to decide if we're gonna really want to. You can get to a year and then.
6 months.
Lucky Clay, I gotta say.
Sure you do.
I'll be close to 12 or 13 years, yeah.
Yeah, no, we'll make up a date.
All right.
Yeah, it was.
I'll bring it here.
Next month's agenda.
It's in the shape that I was my class.
Yeah, yeah.
Come to find out. We just missed it, it was last month.
So we'll have cake next month.
I'll take the cake though.
All right, Civic Plus annual contract. There's a website posting a report contract that we need to renew.
I'll make a motion to renew the contract.
Second.
Roll call please.
Nick Loving,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak, yes. Tony Bean Cardy,
Yes.
Jeremy Carr,
Yes.
Angie Scott.
Yes. And then road closure for the 5K run Saturday, the 24th, 7:30 in the morning. It's in the works.
So I'll have, as far as the police department goes, we'll be fine. We're probably gonna have both street department employees out for the duration of it. The sign should be going out next Monday to give everybody a week heads up, kind of similar to what was done last year. Just to try and get the notice out there as spread out as broad as possible. Not everybody's on social media, so I think that sign will be good use there for that. Other than that, I mean, my understanding is 7:30, I think will be wrapped up by 9:30 at the latest.
Oh, the latest.
Yeah. So,
Probably 8. 8.
And then next is the crack seal quotes for community crossing matching grant. 2023-1.
So we sent this is for the CCMG grant for the track sealing. The town received, I believe, 29,000, some change. Unfortunately, we sent the quotes to 10 contractors and we have not received one. And the only one that we received actually, they made a major mistake on their number and they said they are withdrawing. And they're having a problem with capacity and it's really very tough. And we had this issue last year with a crack sealing project. So we are widening the search and this time one of Tommy with Clay approval, we might have to sole source this item. Because we're trying to find a contractor around the area, and it's kind of impossible, at least this time of the year. So we are widening the search all the way to Lafayette this side.
Wow.
We did the search actually between Lake, Porter, and LaPorte. And,
Still nobody.
no,
Up and up,
we did not go to San Joe County.
it's a little bit closer.
Absolutely.
To them, yeah.
We're even good, well, it's not only Lafayette, they're going actually.
Just saying that it's closer to Lafayette.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We'll keep
So
working on
we
that.
keep working on that, and it might be a sole source. Actual direct, it'll be direct contract instead of waiting the 2 weeks. So if they're available, we will actually take them.
Oh, and we can do that
I
because
think
we've been
because we've
asking.
been asking,
Okay, okay, yeah,
So we did the process and no one responded,
right,
so.
okay.
Another item, actually, if you don't mind, I'm gonna report on the CCMG grants in general.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, keep going.
So the CCMG grant for the 2023-2, actually, and my apology, I think it's a typo and the paper that you received probably from Corinne, it's -2, it's not -1.
Right, yeah.
But it's -1 actually for what you're gonna actually submit in -1. But anyway, it's -2. It's the July. It's calling for the grant. The list that you have, we tried to actually use number 2s on the list, which is the worst streets. With the exception of Babcock. Babcock is a pretty long type of road, and that will be close to 930,000 that will eat up the entire grant. So we try to keep it as close as possible to 2.
Which Babcock?
Right by south.
So south is the road we share with Chesterton and Porter.
Correct.
So our portion would be 900 still, or you're saying,
The entire road length. If we are paving, my understanding that it's the east, I'm sorry, the west town that is actually responsible, is that correct?
That's right.
It's the west, it's always the west town if it's the center line.
oh, I thought, in the past, haven't we worked on that together?
You did, but that was kind of an agreement because they received the grant and we received the grant. But I think if you,
It's crazy.
yeah,
Can they help us?
sure,
That's crazy.
we can ask.
I think we should. I mean, that's, yeah.
What I'm saying, I guess, that we are not including that, we are including a small portion, but not the entire length of that out. Because like I said, the rating is 2 with the pool rating.
Well, how far would ours go, like? So in front of Cortland's, does it go to Golf View? Does it go past the honeybees,
That's what I know.
our stretch?
What we're responsible for or what he got quoted?
Well, I guess
What
what
we're
we would be responsible for, how far does that go?
I'll check the boundary.
Our roadway would go south of that honeybee.
Yeah,
I mean, you could actually physically see where county picks up,
okay.
because county picks up at the end of our
Pay
road
attention the next time.
on the south boundary.
So you can see it right after your press property.
Okay, that, yeah, that's all.
Because then the east side northbound is Chesterton, then Porter. Yeah, well, it's now, it's Chesterton and then Porter.
I mean, it's really,
Well, sure. Probably because every time 149 is closed, we divert all the traffic and in trucks that shouldn't have gone under there and it's not
Or
made for
when
that.
railroads just close crossings. I mean, trucks get through one way or another.
Just saying.
so, I think the list, and keep in mind, the list actually, with the exception of Cohen Road, Cohen is 4 or 5. So it's probably one up higher, so Cohen could be replaced with something else. The dead end of Cohen, which is a cul-de-sac, that's the only portion that is really bad. The rest of Cohen is pretty good shape, I would say, another probably 3 years or so. But
And
the
the
main,
cul-de-sac is where it leads to those private homes, right? Okay.
so with the exception of Cohen, this list is pretty good, that is 2s and 3s, which is the worst street that you have. And we intentionally put Hagland all the way to Stanley just because of the storm project, and we're trying to include that, for the next round. Now, keep in mind, this is a full million that we're applying for, so 1.23, or I'm sorry, 1.274. That is the maximum amount of the grant that you receive, which is close to 907,000. So if you'd like us to start the application process, Corinne is the AOC, right?
Did you, do you, well, did you give us a task order?
I did, yeah. It's the same exact one as last year that we applied, unless that you change anything on the actual number of the project. That might change.
So right now, we're just doing the application piece of it.
Correct.
I make a motion to start the application process.
Second.
For the full amount, I'm sorry.
So are you saying the full amount of all three pieces or just the application?
The amount, the dollar amount, I guess that's what.
Oh, for 6,000, is that?
For 970,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, for the full amount.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if something happens with the budget, we can take things off, right? Okay, yeah,
So we're applying for multiple divisions, even though that's Hagland, we could have applied for Hagland entirely,
right,
your chances either yes or no now, it's a 50-50.
Right.
Instead of.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah. For the items that are full
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah.
All right.
Discussion, more discussion? Was there a second?
Nick.
Thank you. Roll call, please. Tony Dean Cardy?
Yes.
Nick Loving?
Yes.
Andy Scott? Yes. Roseanne Bozak?
Yes.
Jennifer McCarthy?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. CF-1 statement reviews for 2023, paid 2024 abatement. Stephen Clips and Master Maker on here, but Wendy still has not. submitted.
Lindy sent it.
Lindy,
Lindy sent it there.
yeah, the other day. We want to start with.
Let's go down the line. Well, they do have some way to go.
So I spent a great deal of time the last. How many days, weeks? These are, I think there are 7 with Cleveland Cliffs. I don't know if you have questions as far as number of employees retained, additional, everything's, on the up. So as far as, greater than they anticipated. Some of the questions I had was the costs and values as estimated on that B1 goal. It was significantly reduced. I spoke with Ziglar Stewart, who is the senior manager of state and direct taxes for Cleveland Cliffs. He explained to me, and it kind of made sense to me, and I'm not sure if it does to you, when Cleveland Cliffs purchased from Parsler Middle, and they had to essentially allocate values for the whole enterprise to the various aspects and assets within the business. Those were the values that were placed on. So that's why, and if you look at these, some of the values is estimated on the SB1 versus the actual value that they have on their form CF1 are 10%, if not less, of what was estimated on SB1. So that what I initially kind of raises an eyebrow that given to me. So I'm not sure if that causes any of the council members to have questions. And then I had questions too on the business team property reasonable access form. And the form I think is somewhat confusing. I think that's just state bureaucracy since they have dates on here that aren't part of it, but on this form, the amounts get essentially pushed down to the next year. So all of that makes sense as far as what the numbers are and the percentage, the true tax value and the deduction. So again, when it comes to the employees and salaries, everything was needed. They more than met those numbers. Questions? You have anything to add?
If you have a question, but in general, specific kind of questions I can't answer because I'm not an accountant.
Bye.
Generally, I could, about the business of Cleveland Cliffs, I can address.
So do we have to accept to this? What?
Good, I think that the council has to essentially give the president authority to sign and say whether or not the property owner is or is not in substantial compliance with the abatement resolution. Discussion, question?
Are you gonna do we need each one as a separate motion or all seven? You have to approve or deny and.
I think you could do it either or, but the resolution numbers, just I guess for the minutes of the record is 2015-04, 2016-14. There's a BH phase A and a phase B for that 2016-14 is phase A and 2016-20 is phase B. 2017-14, 2019-06, 2019-07, 2019-08. And again, on each one of those, the number of employees and salaries, the actual numbers exceeded the numbers estimated on the SB1.
I guess just a point to point out that reevaluation that have been with Cliffs took over or acquired Ashland Middle. That is just general accounting practices that have to happen when the sale was complete, and that a reevaluation was done by a third party.
Looking to accept.
Second.
And just to clarify the motion, second, is that for all seven?
Yeah, for all seven for Cliffs.
Okay, yes.
Roll call please. Nadine Carden,
Yes.
Nick Loving,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak. Yes. Jennifer McCarr.
Yes.
Andy Scott.
Yes.
So, Rand, when Jane gets back, Jennifer, if you would just sign, and I think there's a place for Jane, and I don't know if Jane wants to attest when she gets back, or. if you-
I have them all. I can attest them. She left me all the
Okay,
paperwork, so we can file it with the county.
yeah, so Jennifer, you'll just need to sign that the property owners are in substantial compliance. And we'll help you fill out page 2 of this, one for each of those seven.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
You're welcome.
With regards to Lindy, aka Praxair, that's resolution 2010-03 and 2014-11. Their number of employees and current retained and additional and the salaries are at, I think they have one fewer employees retained, and the additional employees, they estimated 5 to 7 and the actual is 6, but the salaries are at or exceeding what's on SB1, as well as the values. So I did not see any issues of concern or question on the
We need a motion for that one as well.
A motion to accept -03, 14-11 for Lindy.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Roll call please. Tony Dean Hardy. Yes. Nick Levin.
Yes.
Andy Scott. Yes. Roseanne Rosare. Yes. Jennifer McCart.
Yes.
For the, I guess what's been referred to as Master Link, but is also, 347 Melton LLC, the property at 347 Melton Road. That's resolution 2016-21. I've seen in some of the emails and questions whether or not they still own the property or not, or still in operation based on my limited research with the county assessor. 347 Melton LLC still owns that property. So I'm not sure if the business was sold to another entity, but it was still operating as 347 Melton LLC. So I don't have any outside information that says that they're not in operation, that's the same business name, same business owner is still operating there. So I'm not sure if there's any questions or concerns with regards to that. See that?
But it was submitted.
Yeah, it was submitted. I mean, it was submitted under the name of 347 Melton LLC. In.
And yeah, that's Steve's,
Yeah,
that's the original
okay.
master link.
And so the actual employees retained and additional employees is at or exceeds the what's on the SB1, the salary of additional employees is just tad under what was estimated. I did have some questions because what's estimated on the SB1 from a couple years ago, the numbers for the cost and value of the project don't seem to match. I don't know if anybody else reviewed those or caught that. So I don't know if it's just a scrivener's error. Or what's on the SB1, I guess 4 years ago. The cost for this. Try this right. Current value was 250,000 plus the estimated value of the project was 500,000. And what they have is estimated on the SB1 was 106,500. So I don't know why the difference, again, I don't know if it's a typo, why they can't just.
When do we have to accept this? What's the date deadline?
Brenda, you know when it has to,
I believe it's 45 days after it's submitted to us. But I don't know that for sure.
Do you know when, did she stamp your copy or anything or saying when we received it?
it's dated April 10th, but I don't know what day the town received it.
Yeah, I don't. The copy is not stamped. Let's see.
So. Already passed.
Yeah,
That's the
but
date.
that's, again, I don't know what.
No, I know that.
So I just, so like our date is deadline is May 10th. So you have 45 days from that May 10th deadline to act on it.
And on the form, on the CF1, it indicates that the form must be updated each year, is filed with the county auditor and the designating body before May 15th, before by the due date on the real property owner. Personal property return, so that's the tax deadline is the May 10th.
I feel like that discrepancy as well as the question of whether or not the business has changed hands definitely warrants a visit from that person to explain what's happening. But I don't think it's also within that 45, I don't think we have.
Our next meeting.
In theory, can we reject this one and ask them to resubmit it with a clarification on the figure.
And what's going on with property and business, right? Because if the business changed, it's not, that's all, it's not the same, it doesn't follow really what we approved tax rate for.
But do we have to reject it or not act on it?
And you could do either. I mean, what the owner is wanting is signature saying that they're in substantial compliance and that be sent off to the county auditor. It doesn't sound like that's your suggestions.
So I'll make a motion to reject 2016-21 and ask the owner to clarify the 2 points that we need clarification on and maybe come next month.
So just so when you say reject, are you saying you are wanting to sign that they are not in substantial compliance or not just acting?
Not saying they're not in substantial compliance, I'm just saying we have questions.
Because, and again, just to refer you to the form, if the property owner is found to not be in substantial compliance, the property owner shall receive the opportunity for a hearing. The following date and time has been set aside.
So that's, I think,
That's fine.
That's what we need.
Yes, it's
Okay.
I think this also requires that the hearing says may not be more than 30 days after the date of this notice is mailed. So I think we're already past that date.
No, I think that
The date.
the date of the notice from us,
Okay.
so you could have it July 12th and it would be
we'd be okay.
28 days.
Yes, we have to vote to find it not in compliance. Is that right? I'll amend my motion to say that 2016-21 is not in compliance.
and to set a hearing at the next meeting.
And to set a hearing for July.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Roll call, please.
Just to clarify, you said July 12th. That's in the council meeting.
That's on the, yeah.
Angie Scott.
Yes.
Jennifer McCarr.
Yes.
Tony Bean Hardy.
Yes.
Nick Loving.
Yes.
Brooke Zach.
Yes.
Who was the second on that one?
Me, I agree with you.
Yes.
Thanks, Clay. Unsafe building status report for 1182 Salt Creek Road. Have we heard from? Have we heard from?
Oh, you know,
Naya?
he's still working on that property. We we sent the condemnation papers to Mr. Clay, and we're waiting for.
And I apologize, I haven't had a time to start that process, but I did see when that was sent that the property is listed for sale, so part of my kind of hesitation is not wanting to start condemnation proceedings if this property is gonna be sold, but I did just check again and it's still listed, so I don't know if you know anything.
The condition of the property, the status of the property right now is, my understanding is, he's working on it. And it's also for sale,
Okay,
but the council last meeting voted for condemnation on the property.
Was it for sale last month?
no, I understand that, I don't think that we knew that it says on realtor.com that it's been listed, it's, the time on realtor.com is 98 days, so it's been listed since early March. But I don't think we knew that last month, but so that was my cause, that being focused on other things. But if you were still wanting to, and I'm fine with moving forward towards that, but I think if we continue with the condemnation, we may give pause to a potential purchaser.
Will potential purchasers, will this be disclosed that there's, you know, issues with the property.
I don't think that it has to be, I have to look at the sales disclosure form. I don't think that it might have to be disclosed. And certainly if it's a public record.
Right.
But if that's still our plan, and I don't know if there's been any improvement, you say he's still working on it, how much progress is there?
There's a first the outside edge, his truck is in and out of there. He's working mostly on the inside, it doesn't appear like he's doing anything on the outside. Possibly that's why we're receiving a lot of complaints about that property.
Okay.
And that's probably the reason we ended up with condemnation vote last board meeting. I haven't been in the property, I can't testify to exactly what he's doing in there. But he is there working. He has nips go on now,
I think we should keep moving forward.
that's really all the information we have. I can stop by there and see where he's at, you know, and the improvement end of it. If that helps.
How often are you seeing him in and out of there? Like, is he there every day or?
Or
you don't go by
I'm
enough
outside
to
the
know?
property every day, so
Yeah.
I really don't know, but he's there often.
I just, if we're not seeing any work outside, I just don't want to be running into a situation where somebody is.
Right, if you were looking at the outside of the house, you would never know. But I go by there and I see the doors open and he's inside. What he's doing, I don't know.
Right.
If the condemnation process started, you don't know if that would be disclosed, like.
I don't think.
Because I feel like if we moved forward and we got caught in between and if we condemn it. I mean, we could have possibly have to have it demolished if they don't, and then who do you build that? I guess I'm just thinking that we, you know, or in between, or maybe whoever buys it's going to do that.
What happens if you condemn it under hit, like if he's the property owner right now? But if it changes hands in the middle of the process, do you have to start the process over?
Yes.
So if there's any potential sale, if he sells it to his wife, like you guys gotta start over. That would be,
That happened before on this
So that
property.
happened.
The same property?
Yeah.
just because I mailed the letter to his wife in reference to a vehicle in the driveway, that's why
What happened last time, actually, more family members that were listed on it came into the picture, and then it started all over because they wanted an interest into it, which was the son that was supposed to rebuild it the first time, and he disappeared. And then this guy bought it off of them, and then that's where we're set now. This guy, it's like just starting over, so.
Just looking at the pictures of it.
You're right.
Last two, just to give the council, just to give council some information, the last two that, when I was building commissioner, that we condemned, both of those properties after fill, clean and everything that the town paid for was right around $28,000.
Long ago. Right?
Probably 10 years ago.
It's been here 15 years.
So like multiply that number by 3.
Right,
over
so
for
we're looking
current.
at maybe 60. No.
Can't speak for the whole team, but I think we have Chuck, keep an eye on it. Just keep pacing it. Let's see where it is next month. If he's working on it enough, that he's gonna sell it, let us.
Do we need to invite him back? Like, we had him come to some meetings last year. Do we need to invite him back? Like,
Can you go in it to inspect the progress on the interior
Sure, I'll stop by and say hi to him.
and report back to us, please?
Absolutely.
how much time's left on his permit?
Yeah.
That's
You
true
know.
too.
It's gotta be close.
yeah, I would make sure that the work he's doing is something that's also permitted, you know, yeah.
I can go in here and speak with them. I've talked to them a couple times on. I feel like
it's gonna be summer, early fall,
Mhm.
the last time.
I think
Keep it inclusive in the law, just.
Okay.
All up next month.
Since he's selling it on Realtor.com, I'm gonna not. confident that he has an actual agent or certainly someone local. And he should, any house that's for sale, the realtor is gonna have them, anybody who bought a personal home that's selling residential real estate sales disclosure.
It's listed with an agent.
It is.
Yeah.
So I would suggest contacting this agent, someone other than me. And some of the questions on here are. Is there any threat or existing litigation regarding the property? Is the property? Any substantial additions or alterations been made without a required building permit? Are there any violations of zoning, building codes, or restricted covenants? Are there any foundation problems with the structure? So I don't see anything that says, is property subject to condemnation on here, but it certainly touches on some of the issues that this property is faced.
So we'll just come back.
Come back this month.
So you don't want me to start the process? I just want to clarify.
I wouldn't.
Well, wait,
Okay,
Alright. Approval of May 2023 financial report. Second. Discussion. Roll call please.
Megan Hardy,
Yes.
Nick Loving,
Yes.
Andrew Scott, Roseanne Bozak. Yes. Jennifer Lee.
Yes. Approval to pay vouchers with your signatures. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call please.
Nick Loving,
Yes.
Andy Scott. Yes. Megan Hardy.
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak. Yes. Jennifer McCarthy.
Abstain. Approval of purchase orders submitted with 3 or more signatures. So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
For the PO for the t-shirts for fire, why so many shirts?
We got 42 guys.
We have
Two-shirts
40
per guy,
guys on those?
and I get them throughout the year. So like if they go bad, I mean, it's what they wear. It's my volunteers, it's the career guys, it's myself, it's everybody, so. I think it's what, 100? If I remember it.
Yeah.
106, like an odd number.
Lots of sizes, I got. I think reason it went was I got a few of the bigger boys, so I got 6 of those, so. Kind of go and look and see what you have, but we're completely out of shirts, so. I like my guys to look good. Professional. I know it seemed like a big number, trust me, I look at it that way too. That's what I got the uniform budget for.
Roll call.
That's where we're at. Yeah. Andy Scott. Yes. Roseanne Bozak. Yes. Nick Loving,
Yes.
Megan Hardy,
Yes.
Jennifer McCarthy.
Abstain. All right, old business. We are moving on. Town garbage sale is July 28th and 29th. Call Corinne to be placed on the map for advertising.
Have you posted those dates yet on our Facebook page?
It's in the calendar, on the website. It's not been posted to Facebook, but it's on my to-do list, so. Yeah, 8 to 2 is the time we normally do it, that Friday and Saturday. Sounds good. I'll get it out. I'll get it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Establish chapter 16 violation fees.
that's another thing that's that to be pushed to next month, I apologize.
Okay. And then, salt storage structure project status. I know we received one bid that we did not. That's one, yeah, that we did not accept.
We're not act-
Well,
We didn't do
we
anything.
didn't do anything with it. We didn't accept it, yes. Have we received anyone?
No, we can't actually, we did not do anything beyond what we did, and the bids are open for 60 days. So the bids will be expired by the end of this month. It's the end of the 60 days. So it's up to the.
And it was over 300,000, correct?
That is correct, yeah, to the exact numbers.
I think when we were planning and budgeting, we were anticipating more like the 160.
It came in at $330,920. And then there were some alternates. In addition.
Is this something we still wanna go with, or?
Mike, you have this look like you got something to say.
No, I mean, I can shove that out. That was labor and everything else all into one.
That is correct, yeah.
The original amount was just the cost of the building itself, nothing.
That is correct. Okay, without the foundation, without the installation, and without the garage.
Correct, just the building itself was 100 and some thousand, but everything all balled into one, said and done was over 300.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm a little slow at times.
We need the new salt storage, right? I mean, I know we've shifted people in charge or people looking at things, so are we still all on the same page with everything that we were talking about before? We still need to move forward with this at some point, but are we gonna make it without, or does anybody have any pocket change to donate for the project, or? I don't know what to do with this one. I mean, I think that we would need to reject that bid.
Well, it's probably gonna expire soon anyways, right?
Yeah.
Like, you said 60 days and it's,
That's correct, yeah, from the time of.
we're just about at that point.
But is it?
What was the
is it
turnaround
better
time?
business to let it expire or communicate like that we reject?
I can communicate just for them to not hold the suppliers.
Right.
Yeah.
What,
And that
If you're not-
we might come back
Right.
at some point, it's just too hard.
if it was accepted, what would have been the construction time? So like, if it would have been accepted in this meeting,
They would have been done before the winter, so October substantial.
right? So we're basically getting into the point where even if we, in the next, let's say if it took 2 months and we actually had a bid, it probably isn't getting built now before, by the time we get all the materials and everything else, before the actual winter season comes.
Yeah,
Okay,
it'll be close to the winter time,
right.
if not at the edge of it.
It's just gonna get real tight, so.
Right.
Something we just wait on.
I'll make a motion to reject that bid.
Second. Discussion.
Roll call, please.
Tony Van Carney,
Yes.
Nick Loving,
Yes.
Angie Scott, Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Jennifer McCarr.
Yes.
We will communicate to the contractor as such. Just-
Are we gonna halt this project for this year then? Like, do we need to make?
I guess in my mind, I would just like to explore some alternatives and maybe retouch on this next month.
Okay.
Maybe look at it and see what we can do.
Okay.
That's just in general, at some point. The MS4 program will require some type of a management system to the salt storage that you have. They require a soil and water prevention plan for each facility in the town. So at some point, they will require that, and that's a part of CDA now. But I just wanna put it out there, I guess, at some point that it needs to happen, or something needs to happen.
Okay.
I spend too much time with kids.
Okay, so we'll revisit this.
Right.
All right, sanitary board members, the There's an ordinance needs to be written to address board makeup to comply with the state law. Is that
Then just continue, I mean, until we have the engineer. I think we're just,
So we're friend, your friend.
Yeah, our current code though is worded incorrectly. It's not in compliance with state statute. So we need to rewrite that as our ordinance.
okay,
It still says 5 members instead of 3.
okay.
okay? Building to permit ice and water damage status. And the report. There's more test performs. But my understanding.
Was there a second one? I
There was a
saw an
second
email.
one, yeah, second one, and I saw the report that there was no mold.
Right. But there was stuff, there was moisture detected and needs to be removed.
Right, so we're looking into it, I still gotta get some clarification from Brandon whether or not it's something that. We're gonna be able to tackle to at least remove. Anything that's affected by the moisture. I'm sure by the end of the week, we can answer whether or not that's something and what kind of time frame we'd be looking at.
Okay.
But we have already talked about it and it's just a matter of figuring out where it stands.
Thank you. BP Pipeline May 2022 agreement. This is when we signed an agreement for a certain amount and it came back.
Surprise, surprise, BP is ghosting us, so we were talking to them, and then we haven't heard from them, so hopefully I will have more to.
Did you have that call that
Nina had that call with them. I was not able to jump on the call at that time, so she did have the call. We were supposed to hear back. We reached out several times on hearing back after that call, and we still have nothing. So we will continue to work on that.
So is that an invoice that's here at the town that we are supposed to pay? Or is that like, are we paying back BP? How is that? 'Cause I guess I'm just
What is
concerned with how long can we let, if that's here at the town, how long can we let that
Without
sit
other
before
fees.
something is, determined?
Yeah, I don't know. I know
Okay.
the invoices, that's how we knew that they came in.
Yeah,
so
okay.
much higher than-
We decided at the last meeting to do with it. To pay our portion.
I don't think we did, because you said.
Because we were having a call the next day, but then, yeah, that was so. I mean, the ball is in their court, right?
I'll never vote to pay that invoice.
Right. So, yeah, hopefully we have better. More communication this month.
But the contract was with BP,
Yes,
so they're the ones that are billing us.
yes.
And so so technically the invoice is from BP to us.
Correct.
Correct, but it does not meet.
The deal was.
I know, I'm just trying to see, was it a different vendor, do you know what I'm saying, like, but it came from BP.
Yeah.
Right, so at some point they're going to. They're gonna be able to.
Great.
Okay, no, I guess, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't, a third party who got caught up in it.
Yeah.
No, we got the invoice from BP.
Okay.
Should we have Clay call them? Sorry, Clay.
If you add their attorney, I think that might be appropriate, if.
I think we let it sit, they'll reach out to us.
I mean. That's fine. We don't get talk about their,
I think initially,
Yeah.
because we're like,
they know how to find this.
yeah.
They know how to find us and they know why it hasn't been paid yet. And there's not a lack of communication on our, since that separate email that have gone unanswered, so.
All right, next is the EMS budget. If anybody have any ideas? Did anybody read the lottery?
Well, I will just share, I think I copied you all on it on Wednesday, June 7th, we did get an email from Melanie Massey, who's the executive assistant to the Porter County Board of Commissioners. And they, apparently in February, formed the Porter County Public Safety Commission. And I did reach out to them and ask if, helping us with the ambulance was something they would pay for. And Jim, they said no. Where's it? Oh, sure. Yes, it's. Not really scary.
Book recess 5 minutes.
20 kind of results.
Did you get this bullshit?
I did. Did you get the same interesting email? The Bob Bird thing?
Yeah, so this is the first time I tried this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's,
What's that?
if you notice it's.
Yeah, yeah.
We are still sitting at the EMS budget. We need to, get some. Guess come to a conclusion here, that what we're doing.
I'll go first. I'm not gonna vote to get rid of the ambulance. I think it's vital. I'm willing to take the money from almost everything in town in order to continue funding it. And that's kind of where I sit. So
I'm with what you said.
I get it. I get it that it's expensive. If you guys want to get rid of it, somebody make a motion to eliminate it, I'm gonna vote no. Whatever happens.
How are you paying for it?
I don't start paying for anything else. I don't care.
That's a great solution. That's not a solution. I mean, we've been talking about where to take money from. People have been assigned tasks to look at this for like a year and nothing has been, there's no solution. There's no solution that's coming forward. Where do you want to pull the money from? Like, I understand what you're saying, you cut it from here, cut it from here, cut it from here, but where's here? Like, what other research has been done on where you can pull that money from?
I don't want to get rid of the ambulance, so I haven't looked at it. I'm gonna facilitate how we cut it.
I mean, my personal opinion, I hate to see it go as well, but I also don't think it's. Like, I feel. Like we can't take money from other departments, so like the street budget and the police budget and the part, like, it's not fair. I mean, they're operating on a small budget as well. And I know Roseanne and I've had meetings with Jane trying to find money, if somebody else wants to sit down and have a meeting with her. I know where money's at. Then so be it, but we need to figure out how to pay for it.
It was discussed at the RDC meeting today, and the RDC is not interested in putting any more money towards the ambulance. They did ask.
The only thing I'd like to add to may help you guys, make a decision easier or whatever, I don't know. It's been going on 4 years. But keep in mind, we're operating on a waiver right now that I did to buy us some time to see if we can find out a way to, as the town, financially afford this. The waiver will eventually run out. So the cost that we're paying now, which is half the cost, drop down to the, what was it, 180, I don't have the numbers with me. 180 for payroll versus the 310 or 410 is what it took with insurance and stuff. If there was some God willing way that you guys could find the funding for the service, that eventually would have to go back up to the full amount. So we're not talking about the 180 mark that we're looking for, because my waiver is gonna run out. So the state only allows me to have that for so long. So we're running on 12-hour shifts for ALS, state of Indiana, you have to be a 24-hour service. So they were nice enough to work with us to grant the waiver. But just so you guys understand that we would have to go back to the 24s. We can still run part-time versus full-time. But that's the option that we have to point the goal towards if we're looking at funding sources. Talk to the mill, obviously they're not able to help us out in that aspect, or willing to help us out in that aspect. We've talked to other entities and reaching out, so it currently has to come from the town's budget somehow. One thing that I would just like to say as a chief, again, this is a dangerous situation all over the county, EMS is right now. Any of these, Jeremy can tell you to contest to it. Talk to any first responders, the ambulance shortage in the county is just unreal. In fact, Porter County just had a thing with Porter County about, don't call us no more, we're short on ambulances too. So it's pretty surreal out there. And I don't know why every municipality, and this is no pun, street department's important, police department's important, fire department, everybody's important. But I don't know why every community looks at an ambulance as a funding source, not a service, like a police department is, like a fire department is. They expect these ambulances to be moneymakers. It has to be looked at as a service to our residents. If we can't afford it, we can't afford it. I just need to know what to do. I mean, it's at the point where you guys saw the letter I sent out. I just don't want to shortchange my guys. Or the residents.
Yeah, so have you looked into grants or anything like that, and the other ways to try to bring in money?
I have. I looked at the Safer Act grant, Promise Safer Act grant. It's a one that is to be awarded it to. You have to be a full-time position, so they don't do part-time positions. So we would have to offer a job to two full-time firefighter. They have to be listed firefighter / EMT paramedic. And then you have to agree to retain them for, I think it's 5 years still. And then that drops down, and then you have to agree to keep them for an additional 5 years after that. So, but we can't apply for that because again, we don't qualify for the standards of it. That's the only grant, Roseanne, that I know of that's out there for personnel. Not saying that. Right, that's
Well, there's only certain things we can pay salaries with. We can't just pull money and everything. I mean,
What's the expiration date on the waiver?
It's really up to them. I have to submit a letter every month saying what our call volume is, what we're trying to do to increase it. Usually the last two have been, the town is still looking for revenue source, and we just left it at that. But any time, I mean, they could say, okay, we're no longer going to grant this waiver.
And then at that point, we have to go back up to full.
Either go back full time or shut down. And I mean, why you gotta decide now, keep talking. You know, Roseanne asked a question. And I respect her question. You got 42 people because that's unheard of. But what I've done is that program that I told you guys about, where I've got volunteers from Springfield Township counts, because I started this program where these guys are what I call tier 2. So they come in and work a 24-hour shift because it is hard. So it's not just an emergency fill. It's hard to find volunteers. We had a structure fire on Haglund the other day. Porter had 1 guy show up. We had 4 guys show up, and I had to call an engine for Portage because it's just hard to find people today. So same way with employees. I mean, the EMS field is struggling horrible to find people because of the pay. Well, you guys know, you did increase the pay for them. I mean, unfortunately, we all know COVID didn't do us no favors. So, but yeah, so luckily we're fortunate, the only volunteer department in this area that I'm doing this tier 2 program, and it seems to be working well, where I've got these extra bodies that are volunteering their time. Unfortunately, it doesn't help me on an ambulance. I can't stand up and say, you're not getting paid.
is there anywhere that operates on like a fire and EMS together budget? Like, can you absorb?
Well, I couldn't have
EMS.
any money, but my budget doesn't have as much. We got a $200,000 budget for everything. That's for lights, trucks, gas, fuel. I mean, that's my whole entire budget. No, and that was my suggestion, if we could find this, that we combined it, because right now. So understand the fuels coming out of my fire department budget for the ambulance. The repairs are coming out of my fire department budget. A lot of that stuff's already coming out of my fire department budget. The uniforms are coming out of the fire department budget.
There's no combining with Chesterton or Porter or Ogden, anybody else that would wanna
Try.
partner up on an ambulance.
Chesterton had Superior like we did, and then they got rid of theirs, and you know, they're a little bit different because they have at least that station right in their town, you know, but they still wait on ambulances too, because that ambulance moves around.
Right.
So, I mean, Chesterton doesn't have an ambulance now. I mean, they're waiting on the county just like we are. I mean, well, we would be, sorry. In Portage, they're calling us because they don't have enough ambulances. You know, they're fighting with their board right now, trying to get another one.
If they don't have enough ambulances, then why wouldn't they wanna partner up with us if we have an ambulance?
Well, it's not a matter of partnering. We are doing that through the mutual aid process. It's just the funding of the building. You know, they're funding theirs, we're funding ours. So you just, again, you revenue off of the return on the billing aspect of it to keep operating on that, but
But the return is,
slow and you don't know what it's gonna be. Some people pay, some people don't. I mean, we've seen it.
oh yeah,
I have a few questions, if that's okay.
no, please.
So if you guys look at an itemized line on our, it talks about emergency service fee or the fire department fee, or fire hydrant rental fee. Where does that go and what does that cost to the town for that yearly or monthly? Is it broken down, itemized to where's that money? Is that feeding the fire department yearly budget, or is that just,
It's just covering the hydrants.
is that?
So we used to pay it as the town, we used to pay it, and then the water company. Shifted that to the residents, so it's like $4, right, $4 a month, we pay to the water company, so
And is that,
for the hydrants.
is that exact amount what we're being billed? $4 per household, is that what it takes to cover that fee? Or is it-
That's the fee they set, so that was something that they did for us.
It's, yeah,
At the-
it's like a trash fee.
Yeah, at the time when they did that, we were paying out of the fire department budget. Don't quote me. Approximately $80,000. And then when that got passed away. And that was, and then that's when they started charging the residents.
And then that garbage fee, and I'm confused when it comes to you picking up the garbage fee. I was under the impression that money was to go towards funding the ambulance, isn't that right?
It did, and it's dried up. But now what we collect is also passed through. We're not making, the town's not making any money off of you paying the garbage fee. And then the money that was there, that's already been dried up this year.
It wouldn't have covered it 100% for the, for the year.
I'm sorry to have to do this, but I have to be in Chesterton in 10 minutes.
I'm
So-
sorry, Elaine. Thank you.
Let me know if there's anything in regards to this discussion that I can help with.
Thank you. Sorry to keep you again.
Bye, Claire.
Should we schedule a special meeting just to talk about this? And
I'm going to have a lot of special meetings. But I mean,
For like an executive meeting, I don't know if.
I don't know, but I mean, I'm going to, I don't know, quite a few of the town board meetings, and it seems like we're at a state, it's not going anywhere.
right, nobody wants to shut down the ambulance, but the bottom line is there's no money for it, so we need to We need help from people to look into where the places to take money from. Some of us have already sat down and looked at that and have came up empty. Now, you know, if other people have other ideas or suggestions of where, yes, to pull money from, then we're open to hearing all of those things, but there has to be a place to pull the money from to pay it. And it has to be said where that money's coming from because it's the next payroll.
Right. So we are here, we either need to find out where we're paying payroll next.
Right.
And make a decision on that, or. Make a decision to shut it down, that's where we're at tonight, otherwise. We don't know how to pay payroll. No, I
So
don't even know when it
this is
runs
the
out.
final meeting.
Well, it's kind of
It
like,
just depends on,
I don't know how much money we have, Jane usually has all the numbers, I don't know how much money we have left to pay payroll.
I thought we were just
We're-
pulled enough from CEDAT to pay it through this last time, so it was the
Yeah.
motion that I got last,
Directed.
at the last meeting. But there was still nothing else new that came about, so it was not
Have another payroll we need to address before.
Approximately $14,200, and I believe the last payroll used up about 6,800 of that.
And keep in mind, we're still gonna have some payroll because I can't just go in tomorrow and say. go.
Oh, and
So
absolutely.
there's stuff I gotta get done. Excuse me.
You're fine.
Are you coming back with a bag of money?
All the things are sitting over there, and he's gonna go take care of some business. Thanks, Chef.
I think.
Save our ambulance, I'll turn the plan on.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Has anybody communicated with the Westchester Township trustees on this? See if they would be willing to help financially in some way?
We have, in one of the meetings, Bill and I have talked about. Yeah,
Council, one of the councils, we're supposed to reach out to them. Or. What was it?
Wow, and someone was supposed to reach out to the county, I don't know, as far as I know, nobody was at the county council meeting.
It's scary because the county calls us for help when their ambulances aren't available, so we shut this down and their ambulances still aren't available. And
3 times yesterday.
I get it, it's a scary situation, but. We also can't sit in the negative at the end of the year, we still have to find that money. To move on. Where do we go from here? We can. Move on. We better got us nowhere. We'll have to figure out what we're doing. I can't make a motion to do anything, sitting here as the president.
and us.
Yep, pretty much, so. If you guys are wondering why I'm not moving on with anything, I can't.
Do nothing.
I guess my quote,
If we
not
do-
to interrupt, but if we do nothing, are these people gonna get paid on the second payroll?
On the 30th, Right. Is that-
Well, we have a payroll that'll come due on the 20th, I believe is the end of this next payroll, and then the one after that will be July 4th. Which will both be before your guys' next meeting.
I'll be the bad guy as the chief of the department, and everybody knows in this room that I cares more about these residents than myself, probably. But if we're not gonna be able to come to a resolution of being able to figure out where the money's coming from, or we have money in the budget. Then I urge the council, whoever wants to be the bad person first, I'll take it personally and make the decision and then shut it down. Because I can't continue to operate the way we're operating. It's either I gotta know that I got sustainability or I have nothing, so, and I can give this notice to the proper people, including the county and the employees and start figuring out operational control from there. To still provide the best service for the town that we can, so. And don't continue it, because one thing that I'm scared of, exactly what Charlie said. I don't know, employee that Jason's on notice that they're not gonna get a paycheck, and then we gotta figure out, how we gotta fight how to pay them. So,
And I wanna for the record that this is not something we all wanna do, like, nobody wants to do this. But at the same time, we don't know where to. We want everybody to get a paycheck as well for doing the job that they do.
and just understand that once this is done, I'm the only guy there, so. I'm your response until somebody else shows up, or I call mutual aid, so. Just so everybody understands that.
And that's where all my concern comes from too, is because if I'm the one doing CPR on somebody waiting 20 minutes for an ambulance to come from somewhere, it's hard to explain to family members. Hey, where's the ambulance?
Or even when it's,
I have-
even when it's just a police officer sitting there doing CPR and
Absolutely.
they're wondering, they're mad at the police because why isn't the ambulance?
They get mad at everyone.
They get mad at the first person that's going to be there. I get it, I work in the hospital, I know the healthcare, and I know how important your job is. I mean, I just wish there was funding to support it.
You know, like I said, we'll still provide the best service we can, we'll still have BLS, the AEDs and things like that. But we're not gonna be able to come up with a resolution tonight and sustainability, then I asked the council to make that move, because I can't continue this way, so.
And that's another big thing, it's not just get paycheck to paycheck, we need to,
Sustainability. It has to be there.
we need to
It has
make
to be
it-
in the budget. Like I said, it's been going for 4 years. How are we gonna do this? And I applaud the RDC and the council for trying to move it along, but we've never had that solid sustainability.
And how close are we to having the budget worksheets completed? Do you know?
It'll be like the first week of July-ish. June 30th.
Do you have an estimate of how much we need to get through the end of the year?
Well, but don't forget, Angie, Bill said we're on a waiver
I know.
to be, so you should count on
so it's gonna go up.
it being a fall back at some point.
Public meeting. You cannot do executive session. It has to be.
Oh.
You have to, like,
You can't.
You could, yeah.
I was just trying to figure out, like,
ourselves funds and then work through the strategy process. If we're gonna have to ask if we can get those as quickly as possible, because we need to start again. Line items, you know, start moving things around. If we
I know, Jane was mentioning that before she left, but like I said, June 30 has to close, so we can see half year's numbers and go forward.
stringing you along one month at a time, but if we can get, if we can get to. If we can get to budget, we can actually look at. Moving things around if we can. And setting it for next year to be, where we don't have to do this, we stare at each other. Full silence. It's a good sales tactic, let's do this. So we just need to figure out where, how do we get to July, how do we get to the 12th? This is where Jane usually steps in and helps us with what can we do right now.
The best that I can. That's there.
What's, do you know what's paid out of the town miscellaneous fund?
Do you have a fund number specifically? I'm not aware of.
Too small. Actually, too small. It's another, maybe this year was.
Okay.
So what do you?
Yeah, try what
We
you
did
do.
that there in my summer. I don't know, so what happened? It's, what did you do? It's just, it's.
And we've already used the money that was budgeted for the general fund. We proceeded through June 30th. So, I mean, there's a little bit of money locked in.
Okay, it does,
But you're also gonna have some other projects you'll probably have to pull.
it does one, you want the appropriation number?
Something that will give me a little bit more
It's
information.
1101001392.000 general town miscellaneous.
Well, that would be miscellaneous services, so things like
So like,
software. Specific, services for repairs, that shouldn't be personal services.
no, I just didn't know like what was paid for there.
There's 20,000 left in it, it's 75% left.
Right, I mean, I could send you out a detail, we just see what kind of. Take from there, but software expenses, expenses to that nature. Miscellaneous services, the 392 is definitely.
Yeah, miscellaneous services to get us through July 12th, and then hopefully then we have.
That's a
We cannot do that.
3 category, you can pay salaries and wages from there.
What's a 3 category?
Well, you have like personal services for personnel or salaries and wages. Operating expenses, capital expenditures, so miscellaneous, you can't transfer the money to a new, like, I believe you can by resolution, but you'd have to do it at council meeting. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have software expenses, I can tell you, coming up in August for our utility software, fund software, all our accounting software, and that's several $1,000s, so that's gonna eat up a big. Look at that, I don't have that report in front of me, so I don't know what.
That's probably where
It's
the
not there.
website even comes from.
Yes, that we do. Just,
So what is the plan tonight? So I hear you guys saying, can we find a month? And if you find the month, then what? Are we meeting in 2 weeks? What are we doing? We're gonna wait till budgets? to try to figure something out?
That's what we need the budget worksheets. Just so we can go through and just say, hey, this is the amount we need to find and start running through line items.
But we won't have budget meetings till the end of July.
We'll have the worksheets, we can at least show proof of concept that we can do it for a whole year.
Well,
without-
right, for the next year, but then we're still in the boat of finding.
Of figuring it out,
Here.
but if we can't prove that we can do it next year,
Mhm.
what are we doing?
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying though, that, I mean, to what Bill said about month to
Right.
month,
No,
which
it's-
is difficult on him. If you find something to cover through the next meeting, okay, what are we doing in the in-between? To not have this same situation next month? I was interested in that. Okay. Just asking.
Yeah, and as of the end of May, the EMS fund was also in the negative by $22,000. Try to make that up.
And that needs to be made up at the end of the year, right? Right. Oh, Corinne, you didn't have to get up.
I'm freezing.
Yeah, but I'm not coughing.
Yeah, the whole audience, is nobody's coughing now.
All right, I'll make a motion that we pay the next month out of seated. Get the budget worksheets as quickly as possible after June 30th, correct? Please.
Okay, so EMS salaries from the seated through.
Schedule a time for budget meetings, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, your motion was to pay it through. From the seated through.
The balance in Cedar right now is $214,000. What do we have? But it doesn't mean that there's not things that are designated.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just saying.
is that where?
What about community crossing grants?
It could be there.
Or some of that, from CCDD. Yeah, so the remaining balance is 78,500. I believe this was as of May 31st, but that's gonna, you've already allocated another 14,000 out of that, so.
My motion is through August 1st.
That's the end of the payroll.
Second.
Discussion.
Roll call please.
Nick Living,
Yes.
Andy Scott, yes. Those that. Yes. Tony Dan Carney,
Yes.
Jennifer McCarthy.
Yes. What is the order?
So are we scheduling budget meeting? Is that what we're doing? Are we getting this put on the calendar for some? I know that you travel a lot and we're all really busy, so we're trying to bump this up.
Truth be told, I don't know where I'm going if I'm gone.
I know I am leaving for vacation for 2 weeks and July 22nd.
I'm gone the last week of July.
We're doing 2 nights.
We have to.
Are you available like July 22nd through 24th at any point?
No,
She's not. When did you, I thought you said you came back the 22nd.
I said I leave for 2 weeks on July 22nd.
So then we're in August. Hold on, I'm looking at July, August, just to.
I don't think we can wait till August.
I don't think we can wait till August either. I think immediately August. Okay. Let me some cycle. Okay, so we're looking at July. Roseanne, you leave the 22nd for 2 weeks?
I leave the 22nd for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Technically, I leave the 21st.
Does anyone have any time the 18th through the 20th?
Mhm.
Yes. Before everyone just leaves town, but will we have budget worksheets by then?
I'll do my best.
Let's say tentative the 18th to the 20th.
Okay, pick 2 days, 2 weeks. Oh, because we're not.
Let's just say we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Let's just say that we're gonna set aside the 18th, 19th, and 20th, and maybe on July 12th. Can we do that? It's 48 hours notice, right? Correct. Which days we pick?
I believe so, don't put me on that though, it's a budget meeting. Yeah, that should be a regular meeting, 48 hours notice.
And we'll just hire.
Let's just say the 20th, and then on the 12th, can we pick 2 days? Does that work?
That's fine.
The 19th, the sanitary one.
Well, let's just go with the 18th and the 20th. Does that work? 18th and 20th, let us know when you want to go.
If you guys have preferences, that's.
Anybody else have anything?
Sit down and Nancy, the no plan, the bus system did a 12, I won't be at the meeting that day. Has to be excused for my birthday, she was nice enough to buy me concert tickets, so.
Where you going?
Wait, what concert is
What
it?
concert?
All right, we have to approve this.
Yeah,
It's not wiggle, so we like.
Can we move the council meeting so he can attend? I know he really wants to be here.
And for this.
Country girl,
She's like, just spit it out.
You can zoom in.
You expect a Zoom call that night, thank you. What? Oh, I mean,
It's for the order.
yeah, I know.
You have to say it. Oh, go to the order.
Go to the order, I did say that like 10 minutes ago.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Wait, do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Tony McCartney,
Yes.
Loving,
No.
Andy, yes. Roseanne Book. Zach, yeah, Jennifer McCartney.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thanks.